When I've thought Republicans were wrong, I went toe-to-toe with them. I don't back off even my allies when they're wrong. And where did backing off when our friends were wrong get us in Washington? It got us in the minority. It got us starting the road to debt and growing government. So what moral authority do Republicans have today in Washington to condemn the growing debt? All we're seeing today is more of what was going on in the last administration. We need to rein it all in, and every election counts in doing that. If you believe in limited government, I've got a campaign for you. If you believe in limited government, this is the campaign for you. For you all who went to the convention, you remember the yellow "Don't Tread on Me" flags. That's been a symbol for us. It is a symbol of fighting expansive, overpowering government. And we are keeping that course that I've had all through my Senate career, and I'll carry into the Attorney General's office. And if you remember nothing from today, remember this. If Republicans won't fight to protect the Constitution as it was written, and if Republicans won't fight to protect life and families and truly limited government, there's nobody left to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is us or nobody. So if you take one thing away from here today, remember that. Remember that. And that doesn't mean every Republican is on that bandwagon. And I need you to encourage the others to get on. Because we need to be the party that carries the torch of the Founding Fathers forward into the 21st century. And you know, it isn't so much that I'm anti-union, I'm pro-freedom. And the union bosses that want to be governing this Commonwealth like they're governing 28 other states and doing such a fine job in California and Michigan and New York and New Jersey, those folks, not the members, those folks want the power. They want the power over our workplaces, over our laws, and we can't let them get it. We need to maintain the freedom we've had in Virginia. We need to continue to be a light for liberty that for the rest of the country to follow. And I intend to do my part as Attorney General to help maintain that. And that's what I intend to do as Attorney General. So to do that, I need all of y'all's support, not just today. We've got 33 days and 4.5 hours, but who's counting? Tick, tick, tick. I'll tell you, my wife is counting. That's who's counting. And we need your help. We need you to talk to people in your churches, your gun clubs, your Rotary clubs, where you work. There's nothing wrong with talking to people about this. Elections are the time to change hearts and minds if you believe in changing hearts and minds. And if you're willing to engage in the debate, this is the time. This is the time. And this is the year, because we have never seen in such stark contrast in my adult lifetime the difference between what a left-wing agenda looks like. Anybody here like it? No, yeah, me neither. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. And what a positive, right-thinking, conservative, limited government agenda looks like. If we don't carry that forward, no one's going to do it, folks. And I need your help. You know, I'm not going to win Arlington. I started as a Republican in Arlington. It's a good place to leave if you're a Republican. There are good folks there, but they're badly outnumbered. We got to make up for votes in Alexandria. We're going to be fighting toe-to-toe in Fairfax County. My opponent and I overlap precincts in Fairfax County. And you know, we get along fine. We're friends. He just happens to be wrong on a lot of things. Like the Second Amendment, property rights, 10th Amendment, life, families, offshore drilling, right to work, illegal immigration. I don't know what's he going to talk about when he comes down here. I don't know. I'll tell you what he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about one thing, those criminal justice issues. And they're a legitimate concern for people in Virginia. They're a legitimate concern. But I want you to remember what I started with here. The Fraternal Order of Police, sheriffs like yours all across Virginia, Commonwealth's attorneys all across Virginia, 3 times as many as my opponent, have endorsed our campaign. And they don't do that if they don't trust you to handle criminal justice issues. It is not only my first priority, but it sure as heck is theirs, and they think of it the minute they get up every morning and go to work to protect every one of you. Back in August, Bob McDonnell and I rolled out a public safety program. It includes getting tougher on gangs, repeat drug dealers, fighting against sex offenders, and protecting folks on the internet. These are all areas where we have challenges. They're all areas where I have a positive record. My opponent hasn't been on the courts committee in the House. I've been on the courts committee in the Senate, so I've been involved in all of this for 7 years. We've had one debate. It was back in June. He got the death penalty wrong. You know, the death penalty is kind of important if you're the Attorney General. You really ought to get that right. He got it wrong, and it's up on video for everybody to see. And then came Melendez. You heard Charles mention this case. This was a Massachusetts case, and I think the Supreme Court got it right. Don't get me wrong. The Sixth Amendment is meant to protect individual rights, and they've got to have the right to call witnesses in cases where they're defendants. I have no problem with that. But it did throw a monkey wrench in our criminal justice system with how we operated it. And we started losing cases. By mid-July, we'd lost 5 drunk driving cases just in Fairfax County, where both my opponent and I live. And you know what he said when I asked the governor for a special session? He said, that's a political stunt. Same day, that's a political stunt. 4 days later, he sent me a letter. This was my favorite. Okay, now, he could sit down, read the law, read the case, and he sent me a letter that said, Ken, why didn't you support my House Bill 3086 in 2007? It would have fixed this problem in drunk driving cases. Well, we looked at the bill. No, it wouldn't. I sent it to 6 prosecutors. I didn't tell them why. I just said, what would this bill do to the Melendez problem? 5 of them said it wouldn't do anything. 1 of them said it would have made it worse. Whoops. I think an Attorney General we elect ought to know the law. Ought to know the law of criminal justice system. Ought to know the Constitution. Ought to know the death penalty. Well, there's only one candidate who's proven in this race that he does, and it's me. So I ask for your support. Given that we're all standing, I'll close. I can go. I mean, I'm a politician, a lawyer, you know, I can go, but I won't. I won't. I've gone long enough, and I think I've demonstrated to you the difference between our candidacies and why it's so important, I believe, for us to win this race this year. I want to close by mentioning my 2 ticket mates. Now, Bill Bowling is almost easy. I mean, flip it around. Why do you vote against Bill Bowling? What do you come up with? Jody Wagner's trying. There just isn't much out there. Bill's got a great public track record in the Senate, in Hanover County, and he's done a fine job herding the cats in the Senate. That's a tough job. That's a tough job, and he's done very well at it, whereas Jody Wagner's done a fine job messing up the budget for 5 years in a row, which is quite an extraordinary track record to do it year after year. And Bob McDonnell, how many of you have seen the YouTube video of Cree Deeds talking about taxes for about 3 minutes? A good number of you have. If you haven't, and you're bored, go to YouTube, type in Cree Deeds, taxes. I'm sure it'll come up. It's right after the Fairfax Chamber debate. It is one of the most unbelievable 3 minutes in politics I've ever seen. He takes every position twice on both sides of each aspect of the question. It's unbelievable. And then he balls out a reporter because he says, well, I think I answered that. Well, yes, you did in both directions. But Bob has got a long-term record of good service to Virginia, good service to America in the military, then as a prosecutor, then as a legislator, including chairman of the courts committee, attorney general. He did a fine job. He's been lauded across Virginia and across the political spectrum. The difference there is night and day. And the only reason it was even close 4 years ago was because the Democrat tide was against us. Well, not this year, folks. People are seeing what a left-wing agenda like Cree Deeds and Jody Wagner and Steve Shannon want looks like. They're seeing it in Washington, and the people of Virginia don't want it. And with your help, we'll avoid it by electing a solid, conservative, experienced ticket with Bob McDonnell leading the way, Bill Bowling, and myself. And I want to thank all of you for everything that you've already done and that I know so many of you will do in the next 33 days. And don't forget to support your delegate here, Charles Poindexter. He's a great ally.